Hello, my name is Epic Bubble. I sometimes go by the name of Simon, and this is a kind of special, I guess you could say. It's a board game special where I'm going to be talking about Kickstarter. As you know, Gloomhaven over there, very cool game, but it was a Kickstarter game, which means you had to go onto Kickstarter, the website, and back it and wait 12 months to it to be delivered, going off unknown premises. So why would you want to kickstart, and is it actually worthwhile to do so? When I say is it worthwhile to do so, the thing you have to keep in mind is you have to be the type of person that has, I want to say, fully explored the board gaming scene. If you are a person who is still picking up on, say, games like Catan, or maybe you're playing Dixit still, and you're not really exploring other avenues, if you are playing games and you have a nice collection of board games, say 20 to 30 to 40 odd games, that's probably when the stage I would suggest looking at Kickstarter. Because you see, Kickstarters are often ideas that are a bit weird, a bit out there, and they haven't been picked up by a publisher in most cases, simply because they just don't have the right thing going for them. Generally, it's because they require too many miniatures, or it's because some of the components are hard to build, or sometimes the publisher doesn't see how much kind of profit is in it for them. And also because the game might be quite selective. For example, you'll find a lot of games has a very weird theme to it. Or take, for example, Gloomhaven, which is this ginormous game, a ginormous proposal for a publisher, and it would never see the light of day if it wasn't for Kickstarter. You see, that game would never be picked up by a publisher simply because the profit isn't in them for it. You know, this is definitely a labor of love. It's going to cost the publisher tons to get it made and produced and then shipped, and they don't even know if it's going to sell well. So Kickstarters are very much a risky proposition. So when you're going to find a game on Kickstarter and try and back one, you want to get a good experience out of it. Now, you can go online, you can probably get some good ideas as to what is a good Kickstarter and what is a bad Kickstarter. When I mean a good Kickstarter, I mean a game that has probably the rulebook already listed online. It has reviews, or at least some previews by some of your favorite reviewers. So Man vs. Meeple, I think Actual Law does a couple of them as well. But generally, Board Game Geek may have done a preview for it. You could also find, say, Drive Through Board Games reviews. They could also do some preview stuff, or Angry Viking, for example. Generally, you want to make sure that there are some reviews, and reviews from some well-known, or at least some established YouTubers. Rado, for instance, he does a lot of Kickstarter stuff. And that's always good. That always gives you a very clear indication of how the game's playing out. You also want to make sure that it looks good in terms of what it's offering, in terms of its expected deadline. Because a lot of games tend to promise, not on this game will be done in 4 months. Never going to happen. A lot of games take at least 6 to 8 months at the earliest to be made, and sometimes it will be taken up to a year, just in terms of manufacturing and also in terms of shipping. So the things to keep in mind. And then also looking at price tags. You know, if you're getting a very good price for it, you have to ask, what is the game actually sacrificing to get that good price? Sometimes it is a case where the publisher is, or the person who's doing the Kickstarter is taking the loss for you. You know, they might be taking the loss on the shipping to provide you with this game. If I look at a game, I'm trying to think now, was it Santorini, I think? One of the games, I remember they gave me a nice discount, Clans of Caledonia, where it was, okay, you do shipping, and we'll do 20% off the shipping cost, because we're doing it through Kickstarter. And that's great. And then also, Kickstarter allows for stretch goals, you know, different ways to upgrade the game and make the game better, in a sense. So this might be adding a new campaign mode. It might just be improving the card stock. These are all reasons why you want to back to a Kickstarter, simply because you're getting the game first, in most cases, and you most likely are going to be getting an improved version in a lot of circumstances, or you might be just getting a couple of promos or a few extra like mini expansions just to be like a thank you for believing in them. Again, this is most Kickstarters. There are exceptions. If you look at games such as Rising Sun by Cool Mini or Not, They don't need to do Kickstarter. I don't know why. Their Kickstarter is just basically a pre-ordering system, and if you pre-order it, you get a ton of extra bonuses. I don't like that as much because it kind of devalues what Kickstarter kind of stands for, which is going for the risk, right? There is still the risk that you obviously are pre-ordering a game you don't know enough about, but again, it's from a well-known designer and a well-known publisher. A game like, say, Lisboa, Vita Lucerda's Lisboa, that was pretty much a safe deal. You know, he already had made Vinos, The Gallerist, he'd made Carbon, and so that was a very safe bet. It was by Eagle Griffin Games, who are very good publishers. They make some excellently wonderful components to their games. So again, it's a very safe bet, and you can get some cool promos for that. But the question is, why would you want to do that as opposed to waiting for retail? If you wait for retail, you get a safer bet. You know the game's going to be out. You're going to be able to just go to your local game store and pick it up. You'll also be able to then see the reviews and know if it's a good game or not. But at the same time, you are going to miss out on the discounts. You are going to miss out on those few extra promos that you might not be able to get otherwise, or you'll have to go to like a certain promo store in order to be able to get them. These are both the pros and cons. Really what it comes down to is if you are the type of person that wants to take risks in this type of way, and if your collection needs it. I can't stress this enough. Oftentimes you'll get a game simply because it looks cool and you think it might fit in your collection, but oftentimes there's a game already out at retail that does just the double what you're looking for. And again, this is exceptions, right? If I look at the games I've backed, I want to say, about a 50% record on games that I've backed and have really enjoyed, and games that I've gotten, and then probably 2 months down the line I've kind of removed them from my collection for other reasons. So, you know, things like Zombicide is not a game I was particularly happy about backing, or let's say a game like Cavern Tavern. I haven't done a review of it, but it was an okay-ish game, but probably a game I didn't need to back, and if I played it once at a games day or demoed, I probably wouldn't have picked it up at retail. But it's fine, generally, because these games are just me trying to maybe get something at the time that I didn't have. So for example, there's Besieged. This was a co-op game by Cool Mini or Not. And at the time, I was playing with friends, and we kind of needed a co-op game. So I thought, okay, well, let me pick up Besieged. This looks really cool and looks really interesting. And when it came to me, I decided, oh wait, those friends are playing different games now, and they don't really want to play co-ops, and that was kind of a miss. But it's still in my collection because it has potential. Was it a waste though? I don't think any Kickstarter is necessarily a waste, generally, because if it is a limited print run, you have now a really good game, or you have a game that you can possibly pass on to another person and you'll get most of your money back, and at least you tried. And it's always good to support independent designers and publishers. You know, you have Ryan Lockett, who does most of his games to Kickstarter, and it's fantastic because he designs and publishes, and he does their own artwork as well, which is amazing. And so for him, even if I don't particularly like Above and Below, I don't particularly like Near and Far, I still want to pick it up to support him, and I want to back his current games on Kickstarter. And then, of course, you also get other Kickstarter stuff, which is like you can get some game coins, or you want to get upgrade components, or you might want to get some miniatures for a certain game that you can play, and that's all fine. Kickstarter is really about going the extra mile. It's really about, do you want to take the risk? Will this game add significant value to your collection, and is it filling a gap in your collection, or is it safer to wait for retail? Again, this really comes down to you. If you have the expendable money to throw around, then a lot of games are worth the risk. But also, again, take a look at things such as how many people are backing it. You know, what is their funding total? Does their funding total seem reasonable? How many things are Kickstarter exclusive? Because that can often be a case of, again, I go back to Cool Mini or Not. It's either I'm going to back this game now and get all the components. Again, this is me as a completionist. I'm either going to do that, or I'm probably going to play this game once and never touch it again, even though I would maybe like it, because I don't want to miss out on having all those Kickstarter extras. But then again, you have a game such as Root, a game of Woodland Might and Right. That's a game I would probably never have picked up at retail, but I want to get it because I want to try it out, and it's an interesting, unique concept that hasn't been done by a publisher. Kickstarters are not safe. They're not risk-free. You're getting something which you won't fully know about. Even if you are protecting yourself by seeing reviews or seeing previews, checking out the rulebook, you could have a case where the game just doesn't get delivered for whatever reason. Manufacturers fall away, pricing becomes too expensive, shipping becomes a hassle. In the case of Beta Lacerda's Lisboa, a lot of European backers didn't get the game till much later because the warehouse burnt down. It's a risk. And it's not a risk you have to take if you're getting into board games. If you are an established player, established enthusiast, then it's definitely something you should look at. But don't go full board. Be modest about it. Do your research. Find games that you think will fit nicely into your collection. And also trying to avoid the hype. Just because 1,000 people backed it and 1,000 people gave it a 9 out of 10 doesn't necessarily mean it is a 9 out of 10 for you. Anyway, I hope that helped. I hope that gave you some insight into the Kickstarter process, why you should or maybe shouldn't do it. And if you have liked this video, remember to hit a like and subscribe button. This means more visibility for my channel, which I always appreciate. If you didn't like the video, maybe you had a really bad Kickstarter experience, just remember to hit that dislike button and just tell me what I'm doing wrong. I always like to hear from everyone. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.